If you would, please rise and remove any head covering. I'm going to ask Commissioner Ordenstein to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you, Chairman. Pray with me, if you will. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we are so thankful and grateful, Lord, for all the many blessings of life, Lord. Especially grateful for this time of year, Lord, the season. Let us always remember, Lord, that it's about the birth of Christ and what he's done in our lives. Lord, we ask now that you bless this meeting, you give us wisdom and discernment, and we'll give you the honor and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ordenstein. Commissioners, inside your packet, you'll find your minutes of the work session of November the 8th, as well as your minutes of your regular session minutes on November the 9th. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5A is our single appointment that we have for this evening, and this is for the Valdosta Lowndes County Conference Center and Tourism Authority. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. The seat that is currently held by Mr. Rick Williams on the authority will expire December the 31st. Mr. Williams has expressed a desire to continue to serve. Also, Mr. Nicholas Harden has also expressed an interest in being appointed.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Dukes?
I think he's
All right.
in the audience.
I'm sorry?
Or any of them in the audience? I think one.
I did see, I think, Mr. Harden, he's back here. I don't see Mr. Williams tonight.
He's out of town.
Out of town. Ms. Dukes said that Mr. Williams was out of town this evening. Okay? At this time, I'll open the floor up for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Nick Harden.
Okay? We have Mr. Nick Harden nominated. Are there any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Rick Williams.
We have Mr. Rick Williams nominated. Are there any other? None other, then I'll close the nominations and then we'll call the vote. All in favor of Mr. Harden, please raise your right hand. Okay. Those in favor of Mr. Williams, please raise your right hand. Okay. The vote is 3-2. Mr. Williams will be reappointed. Okay. Agenda item 6A is a public hearing item. This is REZ 2021-25. This is the Etheridge case. It is located on Parker Road. This involves 5.6 acres. It is currently mixed zoning with EA, R1, and conservation, and the request is for RA, has well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners. Again, the request is a 5.6 acre change on the western side of Parker Road from its mixed use of EA, R1, and conservation to RA, residential agricultural zoning. The motivation is to subdivide and create a ULDC conforming parcel if the approval is granted. This is an agricultural forestry character area within the urban service area, and during plat review process, staff will address any wetlands or requirements that are needed to protect any such areas that may exist. You'll notice here on the future land development map, the rural area character and agricultural surrounding this area. You do note the wetlands in the former flood hazard zones. Out of an abundance of caution, staff recommends any house siting be mindful of these zoning, flood zone boundaries and conservation zoning and setbacks. But overall, staff finds the request consistent with the current growth in the area, the comprehensive plan, and the TRC had no technical objections. The Planning Commission heard the request and recommends unanimous approval by a 10-0 vote.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Any questions from Mr. Dillard?
Mr. Dillard, do we still require a flood certification survey to be completed by a surveyor if there's wetlands that touch the property?
Yes, sir, and that would be handled during the plat review process.
Okay. Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the rezoning request.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the rezoning request. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Agenda item 6B is REZ 2021-26. This is Ridgecrest at Rocky Ford Road. This involves 37 acres. It is currently M2. The request is for R10, and it has county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the 37-acre property pictured here is depicted in M2 zoning, and the request is for R10 suburban residential zoning. The motivation for this request is a 114-lot residential subdivision. In November of 2020, this property was rezoned from EA Estate Agricultural to its current M2 zoning for the construction of an industrial facility to service both current and potential future industrial interest in the area, as stated in the letter of intent at that time. Subject property is within the urban service area and within an industrial character area, primarily used in manufacturing, wholesale trade, distribution activities, and that may or may not generate excessive noise, particulate matter, vibration, smoke, and dust, etc. Per comprehensive plan guidance, there are no recommended residential zonings in this character area. Based on the proposed land use, ULDC buffer area standards between residential and M2 zonings would require a 40-foot buffer to the north, east, and south property lines for those adjacent properties. The TRC had no technical objections to the proposed layout beyond the buffer standards. Staff finds the request inconsistent with the comprehensive plan and existing land use patterns. The Planning Commission recommends denial of the request by a split vote of 6-3 with 1 abstention, and the Development Authority has expressed their opposition to the request based on the current and future potential clients in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Any questions from Mr. Dillard? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone that would like to speak in opposition?
Hi, I'm Andrea Schreier, Executive Director for the Valdosta Lowndes County Development Authority. And we're generally opposed to this for a few reasons. One is that lack of product that is currently zoned manufacturing within our county. We've had some success over the last few years, and manufactured zoned property is important to us. As you know, Arglast announced in 2019, there was a lot of very heavy infrastructure that was run to that site. This is probably where we see the most industrial development taking place because it is a rail-served site, and we have a lack of those properties in our community that need to be developed. Those would be our statements, and we have seen an increase in activity over the past year for rail-served and natural gas-served properties. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Schreier. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name's Carol Singletary, and my address is 4871 Gary Lane, Valdosta, Georgia. And some of my concerns are having a residential neighborhood. How is this going to impact future industrial growth in the area? Going to have M2 residential, M2, what happens to that poor community in between? So is that going to discourage continued growth because a residential area is in M2 area? Also, just the impact to growth in our community with jobs to keep our young people in Lowndes County. which is going to be more impactful for that type of growth. I would think there's already a business that's wanting to bring additional type of, I guess, development for Air Glass or whatever the name of that company is. So there already is somebody who's interested in growing that out. So how would that, be more impactful to, again, to our youth, to getting our children to stay here, to have good paying jobs, and, continue in keeping that type of industry together. And the stress that has been placed in our community, first it was very tough going through the rezoning for M2. Can't say that we were all going, woo, woo, but we were, very concerned. Okay, we have, accepted that fact. We are living with that. Now you are upheaving our community again to try to rezone it again to another residential, very closely impacted residential neighborhood. So can you not give some type of continuity to the standards of our lifestyle by not just going yes, no, yes, no? Let's keep it M2. That's what we've, it's been zoned to. Let's go with that. And I just ask, I know a lot of our commissioners do have contacts in the building community. So if you would consider recusing yourself from the vote, because, if you've had contact with James about this project, or even would be a supplier, there just might be too much of a personal conflict, I think, for that. So overall, it's just not something that I think our local community would profit from. We are thinking of the entirety of Lowndes County and keeping our children staying here in our county, just because of the fact that this does provide an excellent opportunity for jobs and enhancement. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Singletary. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
James Warren, 18401 Valdosta Highway. I'm the developer, or the proposed developer for this project, and we've looked for a couple of years on a piece of property that we could, move to develop in the west part of the county, or on the 84 corridor. We've had a couple of pieces that, through different reasonings, have fell through or just become too complicated to try to make work. We've had some pieces on James Road that we've tried to puzzle piece small estates to make work, and never with any success at all. So we found this piece. We understood it was M2, that had been recently rezoned to M2 a couple of years ago from a EA, I think is what he said. And we thought that, well, there's really no other piece out there that we can find through all our searches. So we, of course, made application to try to have this rezoned with the understanding that it was next to a glass factory. And there was concerns with noise, traffic, everything that comes with a subdivision. I ain't real good at speaking, so y'all gotta excuse me, I'm a little nervous. And but that's our reasoning behind it. We got asked the question several times about the noise, and it's of our opinion that most people out there in the Lock Wind subdivisions, the West Wind, and of course, a real good friend of mine right down the road, the noise came to them. In this case right there, we're coming to the noise. So the noise is there. When the noise comes to you, it never really goes away. When you go to the noise, it becomes ambient, and it's just part of the surrounding. Such as, a good example would be a train track. Train tracks have been here for over 150 years, and we still develop next to them. People move next to them, and it just becomes noise that they learn to, I won't say learn to, but they live with because the noise is there. The other issue was, of course, the industrial authority. The industrial authority, as voiced their concern with taking this back from a M2 zoning to a residential type zoning. Well, where Our-Glass sits, it's part of a master plan of, I'd say no less than probably 200 to 300 more undeveloped acres that surround those roads. I've seen the master plan, and so there's more sites out there for them. And based on all the other industrial parks in town, I don't believe any of them's full. They've got plenty of property to develop if they wish to. There's a business park right next door to this that Sheriff Ashley Paulk developed 10, 12 years ago with the intent to, it's M2, and with the intent to attract smaller type industrial businesses and, things like that. There's 6 existing buildings inside of that development, and out of those 6, one has a tenant and has had the tenant for the last 10 or 12 years. That's all that's ever been in there. And it's some sort of Christian-based group that he rents to and has rented to. The rest of the developed property with the water, sewer, curb, asphalt, paved parking lots, none of that has ever taken off. So the interest is not there for a small industrial type development. No one has tried to go out there other than Our-Glass. So I wish y'all would take all that in consideration with y'all's decision tonight. If y'all have any questions.
Any questions?
How long has this piece of property been for sale, Mr. Warren?
I know it was for sale for I know for a fact it's been for sale for the last 4.5, 5 years. It was for sale as the RA. And then, I believe John Sineth put it up for rezoning with intentions to do a small type industrial Val North Park. And then I think after it was rezoned, his interest moved elsewhere because it just wasn't financially, I don't think it was financially a good decision for him to try to do it. There was no interest for him to try to do it. So then Mr. Payne, which owns the Trav Payne that owns the property, he's there, now he's stuck with a piece of property that got rezoned that is still sitting for sale, and that's been 2 years. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. All right.
Mr. Chairman, will you let the record reflect that I'm going to recuse myself from this case?
Yes, we can do that. Let the record show that Commissioner Ornstein is requested to be recused from this issue. All right, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, does the Development Authority have any interest in buying this piece of property for future economic development, industry development, industrial development?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could ask, but I'm not sure at this time if they really would. And of course, we've already gone through the questioning portion of them as they spoke. But I am sure if a development came in and the opportunity prevailed itself, then certainly I would think that there would be something that would be worked out from that standpoint.
Okay.
One thing that we have to consider looking at these things is, and I believe it was Ms. Singletary may have touched on it, M2 property is not easy to come by. It's not easy to get the zoning to start with for M2 because that is pretty heavy industrial zoning. So that is one thing to be considered, that it is that now. And the other thing is, again, contrary to what's been stated, you're bringing residential right up to heavy industrial on an industrial development that potentially is going to grow in that area, and any noise and anything that you've got is just going to continue to grow as the development itself grows. And so we could, people are going to complain if they've got noise or more noise than what they had when they first moved in. So it's still going to become an issue, in my opinion.
Motion to follow the Planning Commission's recommendation and deny this request.
Okay, we have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Any opposed, right hand? Okay, it's 3-1 for the motion. All right, we'll move on to agenda item 6C, and this is REZ 2021-27. It's for Charles Flight. It's on Valtech Road. This involves 16 acres. It is currently CH. The request is for R1, and it does have county water and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Commissioners, this is a 16-acre request of part of a larger 200-acre tract, more or less, on Valtech Road regarding CH commercial highway zoning to R1 low-density residential zoning for an additional single-family home to be constructed. Historically, the property was zoned AU, FH, and commercial highway, and then changed to R1 conservation and CH commercial highway upon the adoption of the ULDC in 2006. The applicants requested at that time to repeal the R1 zoning in favor of RA to better align with the previous AU zoning and current use of the property for timber cultivation. Subject property is part of the urban service area and an institutional character area with access off Valtech Road. Per comprehensive plan guidance, R1 density is not specifically listed in the comprehensive plan. However, other residential zonings of a denser nature are recommended. Any major development of the property, either commercially or residentially, is unlikely due to the amount of water bodies, groundwater recharge, and blue water streams on the property, as you see here in close proximity to Valtech Road. The TRC reviewed the request and found it overall consistent with the comprehensive plan and existing low-density land use patterns, noting that future development would be required to connect to the county water. The Planning Commission heard the request and recommends approval by unanimous vote of 10-0.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dillard?
I think so, Mr. Chairman. I was looking at this survey that's in our packet, and I can't, and this is just information for my fellow commissioners, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Dillard, but there's really no way that, considering the wetland areas, I mean, there's really no way that this can be, if any of you have in your mind that he's gonna bust this up into 16 one-acre lots, I don't see how it can be done, I guess is really what, and isn't that kind of what, isn't that kind of what you were saying? That because of the wetlands and the way it's platted now, it's not like he can bust it up into 16 one-acre lots and.
Correct. You notice here on the wetland map in front of you, there are significant wetlands groundwater recharge areas, limiting the amount of developable land, especially on this southern portion, which is the only part in question. The remaining portion of this property to the north would remain in its commercial highway zoning district. And again, as the survey shows here in red, you see the existing home sites outlined, the addition of a potential one more home site with the commercial highway districts remaining in place there for billboards that are currently there as revenue sources. So,
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Motion to approve this request.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion is unanimous. Motion carries. Our next case is agenda item 6D, and this is REZ 2021-28. This is Windy Hill subdivision located at 7532 Miller Bridge Road. It involves 34 acres. It is currently EA, and the request is for R1, and it's asking for community well and septic. However, Mr. Dillard, this request has been withdrawn.
yes, sir, we received written confirmation from the applicant to withdraw this request.
Okay, so this will be withdrawn, and we will not hear it tonight. Agenda item 6E is REZ 2021-29. This is LR 83 LLC, 5716 Racetrack Road. This involves 3.6 acres. It is currently RA, and the request is for R1, and it will have well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, sir. Again, 3.6 acres requesting to be subdivided into 2 ULDC conforming lots, thus triggering the rezoning request. The next lowest density being R1. This is compatible with the rural residential character of the area depicted on the future land use map. And per comprehensive guidance, it is listed as recommended. You'll also note that the current rural land use pattern in the area, the existing R1 zoning to the north, and the smaller lots in the surrounding area. You can see here in your survey the proposed split of the lots. Again, a 2-acre lot for primarily residential off Shiloh Road, which is in use with the existing land use houses to the south. And you'll also note the size of the lots in the adjacent area, given the inconsistent or non-conforming status of EA zoning, but 1-acre lots. So overall, consistent with the comprehensive plan and existing land use pattern, the TRC had no additional objectionable comments, and the Planning Commission recommends approval by unanimous vote of 10-0.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Dillard? Hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the request.
We have a motion to approve the request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 6F is REZ 2021-30. This is Interstate Land Management LLC, Briarwood Road. It involves 66 acres. It is currently R1, and the request is for RA, and it has well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Again, thank you, sir. This is a request by the applicant to rezone from its current R1 to RA in order for the applicant's desire to allow for agricultural uses on the lots and better fit with their future use of the land. You'll note here that these 5 parcels, if approved, would be combined. Primarily the 4 lots to the south, the one to the north would be unable to be combined due to adjoining property owners. The subject property is predominantly landlocked, as you notice there, with access only off of Briarwood Road, adjacent to one of these 5 parcels in the southeast. You see the commercial and limited residential of the area. It is heavily wooded. Generally, the fields on most of these properties are currently in open cultivation for production of hay. The comprehensive plan depicts this within the urban service area and a suburban character area, and there are county water and sewer along James Road. Per comprehensive plan, RA zoning is listed as a recommended district within the character area, and planning staff found this overall consistent with neighboring use of, or current use of the properties. The TRC had no technical objections, and the Planning Commission recommends unanimous approval, 10-0. So again, you'll note here the current status of the land in open cultivation or heavily wooded areas for agricultural purposes, the limited residential and commercial surrounding the properties. And again, this is a more current view of the property in its current state.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Dillard? Hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Bobby Brogdon, 1929 Seminole Drive. I'm one of the owners of Interstate Land Management that own the property. We also own the commercial property in front of this that we want to maintain the commercial use of it. But the 66 acre, we want to try to do the ag on it. Already got the grass planted. We underbrushing the trees and all that to make it more of a farm use, putting fence up. So for this reason, I'd like for y'all to approve if possible. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Brogdon? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion is unanimous. The motion passes. Agenda item 7A, this is the proposed purchase of real estate on Stewart Circle. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir, thank you. This agenda item seeks to purchase 1.23 acres from Stewart Properties LLC for the purpose of the construction of a new full-time fire station. The purchase price is $95,000, and staff selected this site after looking at several sites in the area. Staff is awaiting completion of the Phase 1 environmental to be complete. Staff is asking to approve the purchase of the 1.23 acres from Stewart Properties LLC for $95,000 and approve the county attorney to complete the closing pending there are no adverse issues with the Phase 1 environmental assessment.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Or I'll call for a motion. I apologize. I'm ready for a vote, but we'll take the motion first.
It gives me great joy to make the motion. to approve.
All right, so we'll take it. So, you making the motion?
I'm making the motion.
You made the motion then to make the purchase on the property, on the real estate on Stewart Circle. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, I will now call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Agenda item 7B is the Crowder Gulf Disaster Debris Removal Contract renewal with the updated pricing. Mr. Ty.
Yes, sir. As we discussed yesterday morning at the work session, this is last year we awarded Crowder Gulf they were one of three vendors that received a no-cost pre-event disaster-related debris removal contract with the county. In the event that we were to need to activate that, as part of the renewal process, they have submitted a request to update their fee schedule to be consistent with the 5.4% consumer price index increase that went into effect June of 2021. Be glad to answer any questions you might have about this request.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Ty? Thank you, Mr. Ty. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the renewal contract.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the renewal of the updated pricing contract. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7C is the resolution to adopt the updated Lowndes County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Mr. Ty.
Yes, sir. And again, this was discussed yesterday at the work session, but in summary, this is our required 5-year update of our hazard mitigation plan. This is, it will go into effect once it's adopted by the county. It's already been approved by Georgia Emergency Management as well as FEMA. And Ms. Elizabeth Back, who's in the audience with the Southern Georgia Regional Commission, worked very diligently to help us get to this point, and is also working with the municipalities to help them get adopted as well, as this covers the entire county, including the cities. But again, this is just a required update, and be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from Mr. Ty? Thank you, Mr. Ty. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the resolution to adopt the updated Lowndes County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt adopt the resolution for the updated Lowndes County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7D is the proposed utilities cost adjustment. Mr. Stalvey.
Yes, sir. The utility department has not had any price changes in several years on our meters or E1 pumps or the services we provide. With our meter changeout and recent price increases, we are paying more for these items now than we're charging. Additionally, we have checked with comparable utilities, and the fees that we're proposing are in line with comparable utilities for that also. Staff recommends the proposed cost adjustments be approved and become effective January the 1st, 2022.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stalvey? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the proposed utilities price increase.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the proposed utility cost adjustments. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7E is the Georgia Department of Transportation's Local Maintenance and Improved Grant, LMIG, the application for that grant. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir, thank you. As part of the Georgia Department of Transportation Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant Program, Lowndes County has been allocated $1,211,881.49. As part of this grant, Lowndes County will be responsible for a minimum of 10% grant match. Staff is asking for approval of the LMIG application and authorize the chairman to sign the application.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod?
Yes, Chad, just what's the estimated time frame for Skipper Bridge and McMillan, since it's on this list?
So typically, once we get the grant submitted to the DOT, they're fairly quick in turning the money around, and as soon as we receive the money, staff has the bid package ready to go. So we can expect typically 2 to 3 months we get the money, and then we'll start the bid process. And that's another 60 days, so you're looking at 6 months before we start, which is typical around the first of the summer.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7F is the resolution authorizing the judicial in-rem tax foreclosures. Ms. Dukes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is before you at the request of the tax commissioner. This is a resolution that will renew his authority to be able to move forward with foreclosures on delinquent taxes.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the resolution authorizing judicial in-rem tax foreclosures for delinquent taxes.
Okay, we have a motion then to adopt the resolution authorizing the judicial in-rem tax foreclosures for the tax commissioner's office. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7G is the Section 125 Plan Document Renewal for 2022. Mr. Beals?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as we stated yesterday, this item, as well as the next two, are some housekeeping items for us. Section 125 represents IRS regulations, Section 125, and that's for a premium-only plan that provides for a pre-tax premium deduction for qualified health plans for our employees. We've been offering this since 1989 to our employees. We'd like to continue doing it in 2022.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Beals? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7H is the 2022 ACCG Workers' Compensation Insurance Renewal. Mr. Beals?
Yes, Lowndes County has been with ACCG Workers' Comp program since 1994. This year's renewal is $201,000, and we are receiving a 7.5% reduction due to our safety program. And thanks to dividend credits due to the longevity of us being members, that brings this year's renewal to $183,428.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Beals? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the ACCG Workers' Compensation Insurance Renewal for 2022.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the 2022 ACCG Workers' Compensation Insurance Renewal. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7I, this is the 2022 holiday schedule. Mr. Beals.
Yes, this holiday schedule is being presented to the commission in accordance with our personnel policy manual. We currently observe 9 holidays that span a total of 11 working days.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Beals? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the holiday schedule.
Motion to approve the holiday schedule. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. And thank you, Mr. Beals. Agenda item 7J is the 2022 commission meeting calendar. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff has prepared the meeting calendar based on our enabling legislation for 2022. It also takes into consideration the ACCG annual conference. If there are any questions, this has been compared against the holiday schedule, any other possible conflicts, and it's ready for your consideration.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2022 commission meeting calendar.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the 2022 commission meeting calendar. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7K is the supporting reform to the Georgia Annexation Dispute Resolution Law. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution that the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia has sent to all counties in Georgia. They're expecting there to be discussion surrounding legislation in the upcoming session related to annexation dispute resolution, and they are asking that counties affirm their position through resolution. So upon the Commission's consideration and approval, staff will forward this to the ACCG.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 7L is the extension of agreement for the ULDC updates. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a request to extend the current contract between Lowndes County and the consulting firm of Goodwin Mills Kaywood for updates to the ULDC and additional technical assistance throughout the course of the extension. It's proposed to extend under the same terms, conditions, as rates as the original agreement, extending the original contract from December 22nd, 2021 until December 31st, 2022, consistent with the provisions in the original agreement.
Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the extension of agreement for ULDC updates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7M is the approval of the District Attorney's Federal VOCA Grant Application Renewal. Commissioners, this was presented by Mr. Shealy at the work session yesterday morning. If you need any other or have any other questions about that, I am going to refer you to Ms. Dukes. So if you don't need any questions, then we'll move forward with a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7N is the approval of the Solicitor General's VOCA Continuation Grant Award for 2021 and 2022. As well, you've heard of this item at the work session yesterday morning, and if there are no questions, then I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7O is the approval of the Solicitor General's VAWA continuation grant for 2022. Same scenario, it was presented at the work session. If you don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 7P is the opioid litigation. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a follow-up to the report that we received from Ms. Haynes Studstill last meeting, there are 2 forms that she has sent over that are ready for your consideration for us to move forward in the process. Also, Ms. Studstill is here this evening if you all have any questions.
Any questions?
Just one, Paige, I just was thinking earlier, yesterday when you spoke about they're going to divide the money up amongst the counties.
Right.
Are we going to have to split it amongst the cities as well?
I have not heard that. I believe, and please correct me, but I believe that each government entered into the action on their own, so those allocations would be made per government.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we approve and authorize you as Chairman Slaughter to sign the attached settlement participation forms.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 7Q is the Land Bank Authority Coordinator, Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something that staff has researched at the direction of Commissioner Evans. Both City Council and the Commission have been involved in furthering this effort. To take things to the next step, I'm requesting authority to expend up to $30,000. We would partner with the city, that would be the county's half, to pursue a part-time person to assist the Land Bank Authority with expanding their mission.
Okay. Any questions?
Just clarity, Mr. Chairman, this means if the city does not participate, it probably won't take place?
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda number 8A is a bid for 4 custom cab pumpers for the fire department. Ms. Black.
Yes, sir. As you heard yesterday, we requested bids on 4 new 2022 custom cab pumpers for the fire department. 2 of those will be paid upon upon award of the bid and order, and 2 will be paid upon delivery in the next fiscal year. And you have the bids in front of you.
Any questions from Ms. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to the Sutphen Corporation in the amount of $2,192,388.
Okay, we have a motion to award the bid to the lowest bidder. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 9, County Manager's Report. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff would like to thank Commissioner Marshall for his leadership with the ACCG Workers' Compensation Board. That is a fantastic conduit of information for us. You all saw the results of those safety and dividend credits this evening, which certainly makes us more responsible and better stewards of our tax dollars moving forward with that coverage. So thank you, Commissioner Marshall. We're very excited that the Blazers have moved on to the next level. They are playing in the Division II championship game this weekend. On Patterson Street tomorrow about 4 o'clock, they will be coming through downtown. So we are encouraging all of our local businesses to to red and black out our city and our community tomorrow for that. Blaze will be at the courthouse about 3 o'clock. We also have a very quickly planned initiative between Ms. Barwick and the city's public information office and the communications folks at VSU to put out flags and yard signs and those things on the courthouse. So we're going to decorate there. Also, graphics and information are up on social media. So if you have time to join us and send the Blazers off, they will be heading to McKinney, Texas for that championship. Our employee Christmas luncheon is on Thursday at 11:30 at the Civic Center. We have received a favorable communication from GDOT regarding the recent I-75 rest area request. Mr. McLeod has received communication. We have a point of contact that seems to be moving forward. Robin, Public Works, you guys knocked it out of the park. Once again, the tree lighting was phenomenal. The care and the around-the-clock that it takes to keep all of that going for the month of December is fantastic. I think that we're up to 3 engagements. So I think there's going to be some Santa babies in the future. We're excited about that. So thank you and your staff for that. And then in closing, the last thing I have for this year is that we are grateful for the opportunity of a new year. On behalf of staff, thank you for your leadership in 2021, and we look forward to your good direction in 2022. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. County Manager.
Yes, sir.
What time is the ball game and what channel?
I will send that to you.
It should be, if it's been like it was last week, it'll be at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. on Saturday on ESPN Plus.
Is that correct?
Plus.
ESPN U.
You?
Yes.
Okay, well, good, then
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Yeah, yes.
At what time?
9
9
o'clock.
Thank you.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
I'll be
Great.
asleep by then.
Okay.
Can record it.
Do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? None. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any comments? This is your last opportunity this year.
It's been a great year, and it's been a pleasure serving with each of y'all. Look forward to next year.
It's been a great year. I thank everyone for coming out, participating in their local government, and don't be no stranger in the new year.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it has been, we've had our challenges this year. We all know that. Our citizens in this community has had quite the challenges as well. Local governments has had quite the challenges, but everyone has stepped up to those challenges and really shown what this community is made out of, what the people, how the people are, how they embrace this community. So I personally, again, want to just say thank you to staff. I want to say thank you again to the citizens that's here, and commissioners, especially to you. I want to say thank you for the challenges that we've all worked through together this year to make this year the success that it is. It has been a wonderful year. This community continues to grow. You continue to look at the big picture in our community, and so I wish you the very happiest New Year, and certainly the merriest Christmas that you could get. So, again, thank y'all, and it's been a pleasure. Ma'am?
We thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your expert leadership.
Well, thank you, sir. And oh, I can?
Yeah.
We got Dave DeSalvo, I apologize. Dave DeSalvo is with us tonight. Dave is the Executive Director for the Conference Center. I'm sure he was here from a standpoint of an interest on his board member. So again, Dave, welcome. Glad to have you with us, and you're welcome anytime. Certainly come.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Say Merry Christmas.